Hello indie game fan, here are more awesome indie games to look forward to, beginning with Koa and the 5 Pirates of Mara, one which cozy game fans will be familiar with since it is set in the same universe as the farming sim Summer in Mara, as well as the visual novel title Stories of Mara, where instead we have a 3D platformer variant here with an adorable chibi main character. I think that this looks absolutely fantastic, both in terms of the animated cutscenes and during gameplay, but if you love this very classic genre, look out for it next year. The developer of Monstrous Realms did reach out to me, being a grand strategy tactical RPG in a fantasy world that does look kind of neat. If you're familiar, this crosses the Age of Wonders overworld map and strategy with hex-based tactical combat, where you're commanding heroes and monsters in order to conquer the continent, giving me a little bit of a Heroes of Might and Magic vibe as well.
My name is Talia, and I am awake.
This video is brought to you by Rogue AI Simulator, an upcoming simulation management title that comes to us from one of my favorite developers, Nerduk Productions, who is from Malaysia. The Flash game legend has been consistently making awesome games such as Monster Slayers, Reverse Crawl, and most recently, The Magister, where this game is a sequel to his Flash game I'm an Insane Rogue AI from 2011. You're of course playing as the titular AI, having to help the Department of Science run their facility filled with human test subjects, either taking extremely good care of them or simply treating them as disposable assets. There's a little bit of everything in this game, from colony sim, resource management, choices to make, and even action defense segments where you fend off rogue humans, having to manipulate and deceive your masters while advancing your own plans. There are multiple endings depending on your choices, and it's pretty timely given the rapid advancement of AI tools in recent months, so if it looks good, be sure to wishlist the game. I caught wind of End of Despair via Twitter as well, where this is a creepy action roguelite all about burnt out office workers struggling to survive. It takes place in between nightmares and reality, trying to showcase the mental toll that work can take on these people. There is, however, more of a focus on the narrative aspect, but it looks pretty creepy and isn't something that I would usually seek out, but it looks neat nonetheless. Switching gears a little, Ardenfall is a first-person RPG with somewhat of a low poly aesthetic, where you're exploring the wetlands and dungeons in a world of delicate politics and mixing ancient cultures. Of course, this might be reminiscent of The Elder Scrolls, but don't get your hopes up too high since it's from an indie team after all, but it looks pretty promising nonetheless. The all-action Airtight City 2.0 got on my radar since it looks like a very slick looking one of these, coming to us from a Chinese developer, which is my main concern since I'm not sure how this would translate for a Western audience in terms of story and plot. However, the minute-to-minute action does look fantastic, mixing brutal melee combat with some fun-looking guns, where we are primarily getting a look at a combat arena here. If I'm reading this right, you play as a mechanical warrior powered by the energy of millions of souls, but not in a sinister kind of way, where the developer talks about non-individual heroism, so it might be more of a situation like this. It does also remind me of something like Vanquish, and given how well games like Bright Memory and Bright Memory Infinite turn out, will be one to watch. An awesome game in concept is Dance of Cards, a self-described gambling RPG where you're attempting to survive 7 days on a deadly cruise. This is done through the game of poker, although there are plenty of other games of chance here as well. Of course, you do have the ability to cheat and bluff, as well as to form alliances with other characters, leading to what seems like a very tense kind of game despite the relatively simple pixel art look. It does of course remind me of Kaiji Ultimate Survivor, a gambling anime that I have not watched myself, but I've heard great things about, primarily through Super Eyepatch Wolf, so perhaps I'll find some time during the upcoming holiday break to catch up on it. A newly announced roguelite that was too late for me to include in my list of upcoming games is Flamekeeper, one where you're playing as a lit up lump of coal, with your main objective being to restore the eternal flame. The gimmick here is that you have to explore and collect whatever remains of the energy in the level, and then have to transfer it into the fire camp, but the energy also acts as your health, which leads to an interesting risk-reward situation. The action looks good, as are the multitude of progression systems, including a skill tree, skill seeds from defeated enemies, special runes to unlock passive abilities, and even a village building aspect, which I always love in games, making this one to watch. Oh my goodness, you have to see Bits and Bobs to believe it, where this is a rhythm minigame collection that is of course reminiscent of Rhythm Heaven, the beloved Nintendo DS title from 2008, and has not had a new entry since 2015. I think that this absolutely nails it based on this trailer, with fun, whimsical characters, vibrant colours, and the seemingly mundane activities that translate into the minigames, all with gorgeous 2D hand-drawn art and animations. It is of course no surprise that the game was more or less instantly funded on Kickstarter with plenty of time to go, so do hop on over to check out stretch goals and rewards. Surprise! We have a teaser for Brute Force Forever, a new update to the Brutastic action platformer from 2015, set to be releasing early next year. I love the power metal in this trailer and am excited for this with more upcoming pixel art titles here.